Welcome back to The Creative Lens. On today's episode, Jake and Colden are getting into some brand new lenses. Tamron just dropped a 12 to 20mm f2.8 super wide, and Viltrox released a 26mm Pancake lens, perfect for street photography and walking around. Plus, Jake shares how he's using AI to build software, analyze client content, and improve his outreach. Then the guys break down a DJI AI ad that kind of broke the internet. The question is, did it ever actually exist? Lots to talk about today. Let's get into it.
Yo-ho, what's going on? Welcome to The Creative Lens, episode 15. Jake, how's it going, man?
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, man.
We're
Lots to talk
not
about
at
this
our
week.
we're not at our normal scheduled time.
I know.
The life of actively working creatives.
Yeah. So anybody that's coming in and hanging out today, we are on Wednesday today instead of Thursday. So we're missing our general time. But I don't know, Jake, I like the idea of going live a day early rather than pre-taping, even if it means that we've messed up people's schedules. I feel like it's just better go live when you're actually there. I don't know if I love the pre-tape idea.
It's interesting because I remember last week when we started, there were several people jumped on right away. And this episode, there's nobody here yet.
Yeah.
So, I think it's got its pros and cons where people are definitely used to, the format of Thursdays and, but I like live. I like live.
So can we can hope that we will be back on our regular 2:30 Thursday time by next week. Hopefully.
Exactly.
I always like getting jobs and having,
shoot.
I was going to say, I can't complain about having work and having shoots, but it is nice to be consistent here when we're doing a live show, I suppose. So I was thinking of you. I mean, I want to jump into some of these lenses. We always end up over talking, but I think these lenses, there were two that dropped today. And I think I apologize. I feel like I have to do this every time we talk lenses. I don't think either of them are coming to Canon yet.
See, I get it. This is just secretly your mission is to get me to Sony.
Yeah. Well, I mean, go petition Canon.
I think Sony is the empire and Canon must be the Jedis because there are less of us out there.
I think, well, we talked about this last week. I actually think that Canon's done a really good job of catching up in a lot, made some really cool cameras a lot and first party lenses as well. They've really done some cool stuff. The problem with Canon, though, is that they just decided, I don't know, was it the RF mount? Because I remember you could get all kinds of lenses for EF, and then all of a sudden we have these new mirrorless cameras totally locked down, and they aren't opening those up to the third parties. So I don't go petition.
Cook is making RFs. It's interesting who they decide to partner with. Some people they're totally, and others they're just nope. It's okay.
Well, so the weird Sony thing is that if you have a third-party lens on Sony, you can't unlock all of their burst mode. So that's the one trade-off for us is if you have, the new, the A9 that'll shoot continuously, or you have the other cameras that'll do 30 frames a second, you're limited to 15 frames a second with third-party lenses.
There you go.
But, I mean, I'll still take 15 frames a second and get this lens, which is and I'm pointing this out now because Andre Pizzini called this months ago. This was June 24th. He was already saying this lens is coming. He had the photo of it. So I'm giving him some credit right here. He was calling this as a rumor. And Petapixel just announced this, just released this today. So this is where I was. Jake, unfortunately, we are not cool enough that Tamron sent us this lens. So we're
Tamron.
We're just reporting, unfortunately. If anybody from Tamron's watching, I like this lens. You feel free to send it to me. I'm happy to test it for you. Jake will go get a Sony body if he gets this lens. But it's a really interesting. So you're talking about a 12 to 20. Full frame. I think I was looking, this is one of the widest lenses you can get for a full frame mirrorless camera right now. And it's really cool. So Tamron's done it. Do you have any Tamron lenses, Jake?
No. That's the,
Okay.
for some reason, I think Tamron's stepped up their game, but when when I first started coming out, like Sigma was above them. Like if you were going to go off brand, like not Canon, not Sony, like Sigma had a cachet of like, oh, okay, solid lens for photography for the DSLR mirrorless world. And Tamron was still kind of like the more, a little bit more consumer, not as good. And that was kind of always the rep that I knew them by. But I think recently in the last many years, that they've really stepped up their game.
Yeah. No, but I think you're right in that that's where my head always went to. Honestly, like Sigma was so out of reach for me sometimes, as like they were.
But that's also what kept their cachet, was like, oh, they're a little cheaper than the name brand, than the body brand, but they were also, then they had their two versions. They had the art series and then the not art series, and you were like, oh, okay. Like it still felt like, oh, you know, at least in the you know, in the Canon space, like an L lens versus a stock lens, like it still had that feel where and all the lenses, like I had a Sigma 18-35 art lens, but ASPC back
Dude,
in the
that
day,
was the GOAT lens though. That was 1.8, 18-35.
Yep.
Like I was jealous of all of you people that went out and spent. It was an expensive lens. It was like $1,200 or something.
Yeah,
like
like $800, $1,200,
Yeah.
but it still again was cheaper than the, you know, 16
I
to
don't even think you
35
could get
L lens that was 2,300, or that was like $2-3 grand. So it was half
but you
the
still couldn't
price.
get a 1.8. Like that was a GOAT lens.
And that was why, like, I had that for my 7D Mark II.
Yep.
And I loved it. And so that's where like Sigma always had that kind of place in my heart of like, okay, if I'm not going to be in the Canon ecosystem, but I'm going to be in the ecosystem, but I'm not going to be with Canon, I can go to Sigma. I trust them. But Tamron, like I had a buddy who had, it was a 70-200, or it was like a 70-200, or it was like a 24-70. And it felt cheap. But again, that was a decade ago.
Well, so since then, they've released a couple of new lenses that I've been a big fan of. They basically like came out with their trifecta version of lenses. So they had the 28-75, which means you lost those like 4 millimeters. And I did miss having the 24, you know, weirdly, but like I like
a little wide. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got the 28-75, and then they came out with the 17-28, I think. So I have both of those lenses. Love them. Then they came out with a 78-180, I believe. So again, you're almost at those focal lengths of the pros, but cheaper, lighter, smaller, easier to carry around. And then they did that 35-150, which is sitting back on my shelf, and minus the fact that it was crazy heavy, or is crazy heavy. What a freaking awesome focal length. Like that covers me as like if I'm going to pick something and I don't care that it's a heavy lens, 35-150 starts at an f2 and then caps out at a 2.8. It was a crazy build lens. So what I've always given Tamron is like, and you guys, if you're watching this in the chat, like, let me know what you guys think, but they have pushed these like new creative focal lengths that are actually super useful. And so where this is a very small focal throw, they've added some stuff. So Jake, maybe we get you on board with like giving them a little more credit from being that cheap, you know, third sibling you don't talk about.
And I think really they have, and it goes to show it's like the branding and marketing have such a play on how you're perceived. And you know, are you a Ferrari or are you a Honda?
So like, but look at how they even redesigned. Like, look at the lens
already
cap
looks
on this.
nicer,
They're,
you know,
maybe not Ferrari, but they're trying to go like Corvette, maybe. You know,
or higher end Lexus, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But like even scrolling up, like, you know, putting the gold bar around, like it's silly, but like you look at that, you look at, you know, what is the they have a USB-C port?
Yeah. So this is all, and I don't have the clip pulled up, but they have I can find it. They have a couple of things. One, this is a sealed USB-C port for firmware updates. So I think Todd and I were talking about this. Like, it's if you have a lens that you have to firmware update with like a dongle or an attachment or like anything that's
I've
not
never
on the
heard of
body.
firmware updates for lenses.
Yeah.
Where have I been? What am I missing?
Maybe you don't need to, but I think
My
these
lenses
motors
just work.
well, the motors always need a little bit more tuning as you get new bodies. And so I get it. Like if you can maximize what you've already got and tune it a little bit more, cool. So you've got, firmware upgradable. They also have this thing called the Tamron Link, which I meant to talk about a couple of shows ago. You literally plug this little wireless receiver in here and your phone becomes your follow focus. Like you can change all the controls of your lens inside your phone on the app. You can switch things from like a linear to a curved focus throw. So if you want a linear throw, you can change that all in the app. Like very cool stuff that Tamron's doing. And then if you've known Tamron as the like very stripped down plastic body, they added so many interesting controls on this. And keep in mind while we're talking about this, the concept of this is for astrophotography. So some of these things are really interesting for astrophotography. So you have click versus declip. You get an aperture ring here, so you can manually adjust aperture and you can turn the click on and off. I freaking love that. I mean, keep in mind astrophotography here, Jake. Control lock. You can switch that on, and now you bump the focus, you bump the zoom, you bump anything. It doesn't do anything. Locks all of your controls in. Because like I was doing this just a couple of weeks ago, took my camera out for the 4th of July and wanted to, capture long exposures of the fireworks. And I accidentally, it's my fault. I screwed it up. It was dark, but I was trying to zoom out and I didn't grab the zoom. I grabbed the focus ring. And now all of a sudden while it was light, had it focused. Now I'm trying to focus in the dark on fireworks. So I saw this come out today and I was like, oh, where was that a couple of weeks ago? This is literally what it's for. So huge here. You have a custom button. So these custom buttons on the side can be programmed. I don't know if your L's.
It's a solid lens. This is a super solid, like, I mean, again, that's what I was saying. It's like, in the last handful of years, they were like, okay, we really need to make this competitive. And my one question is, it's a zoom. I forget the technical term for this, but does the lens extend or is it all internal in the body?
All internal. So the other thing for us as filmmakers is perfect gimbal camera.
Perfect gimbal lens,
right? Perfect gimbal lens, f2.8 all the way through. If you like shooting super wide on a gimbal, freaking a perfect lens for that.
Yeah.
The only thing I was going to ask you about, because I think I can't remember. I think it's 9-bladed aperture. So one thing Petapixel pointed out, and I kind of agree with them, is that the bokeh, the out of focus stuff looks a little sharp, a little weird. I don't know if you noticed that. This is what they kind of pointed out.
It feels stylized.
It's a little sharp on the out of focus stuff. I don't know. That's the only downside.
But also, like, I mean, in my opinion, like right there, that photo, it's like decrease the sharpness in Lightroom. Like that. There's also like, you could just soften some of that. Like that's increased contrast, increased sharpness, increased, those handful of things. But also, look, every lens has its own little style. And I think that's part of the stylization of this lens is, okay, great. The bokeh, the peripherals of the image are going to be a little sharper, a little bit more crispier than others. All right. This all looks super rad to me. Very fun, stylized landscape. Like, I think it's a solid landscape, astrophotography, gimbal, outdoors,
I love shooting with a wide lens. I think it's just, you get such fun, stylized shots. And so I saw this come out. Here's the only other thing that I want your opinion on. So I think it's a cool lens. Here's the price on it, though. We're going to start competing with the main brands and the Sigma competitors. I mean, $1,700.
That feels worth it. That feels worth it. Well, because of the way it's like, it looks, do we know, like, is it a plastic build, metal build, or,
I think it's the same, maybe a little bit stepped up. I can't remember what they call it. They're kind of magnesium plastic composite that they have.
To me, with
the,
all of the functionality, the internal, where it's internal zoom, the locks, the firmware update, like, to me, like, that feels like a very solid competitive price where it's below $2,000. Like, to me, that's where, like, it starts to hurt the bank account when I see, an L lens or, a G Master, and it's like we see a 2, or worse, you see a 3, and it starts there, and you go, oh God, can I swing this? But like, I think getting under that 2 mark made it able to swing it. And I think they can take some good market share with that.
Yeah. All right. So anybody voting in the comments, if this is worth picking up for $1,700, I'm tempted by it because I really like the wide look. I think I'm cautiously optimistic right now. In my kit right now, as much as I love this lens and it might be a pickup, I like my 17. I don't know if I would need it like $1,700 for 7 millimeters on the wide.
It's a stylized lens, like, but and again, it's like what we constantly talk about. It's use case.
Yep.
If you have that 24-70, or if you're like, great, I'm shooting a lot of wildlife, I'm shooting, a lot of landscape, astro, like, let's get into it, But again, I think it's I was going to say, just to finish up, I think at that price point, it's also for people who are kind of more getting into it. It's feeding a little bit more of like, hey, I don't need to add this, or like, I want to get into astro, I want to get into landscape, I want to, like, great, I just picked up my first Sony body and I need a lens. I'm not going to get, they're 16-35, that's $2,500, but I want to get I can get that 18, for $500 cheaper and a little wider without a fisheye,
Yeah, my only argument on that is they did not price this to be a getting into it lens. This is not in the $400 or $500 price bracket of you, like, you even think like,
I mean, to me, that step up. Okay, great. You have the $400 to $500.
This is one of the most expensive premium wide lenses that you could get.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, outside of, you're talking about like the 16-35, but that's a totally different length.
I guess I'm comparing it to those 16-35s, which might be the incorrect comparison.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check in terms of what else you have at this zoom lens, but they definitely priced it to be more of that premium top where Sigma's selling. And, they're really trying to go, and I commend them for it. I like that, sub $1,000 price bracket for me.
It's more expensive than, I just pulled up Sigma. They have a 14-24 f2.8 art lens for Sony E-mount that is $1,500.
That's what I was saying. So this is not the get into it lens. This is like,
this is the professional lens.
Absolutely.
But they're basically, I think they're betting on that lock function, the control lock function, the programmable buttons, and some of those aspects to be worth the extra $200 to $250.
And if you need it, that extra 2 millimeters on the wide end, I think this is the first lens that can do that range. I mean, I think this is a first. Fact check me on that one, but
from a landscape and astro, it could be very valuable.
Yep.
You have that, from an astro standpoint, but also it's that I see it also from a film standpoint of, because you have that auto, that focus abilities, that it's a stylized gimbal lens.
Yep.
I could see it being like, oh, we want to do a look like the Revenant, and some of these interesting, whether handheld or gimbal, but we want that kind of, where we're like, hey, let's throw it on an FX3 and we're going to get these kind of interesting crash cam, handheld or gimbal or just stylized look. And great for, but you're not spending $20,000 on the lens. You're only spending $1,700 on the lens.
I think if you like wide angles on a gimbal, this is going to be such a no-brainer.
Or
If you
handheld.
don't have it, if you don't have a wide in your kit yet, I think that's such an easy one.
Yeah.
So the next lens that just dropped today, this was my I thought of you moment. Because so this one is the Viltrox 26mm Pancake lens. So it is teeny tiny. Another petapixel. They're reviewing this, so shout out to them for being so thorough on these new lens reviews so that I can talk about them and drool over them a little bit. This one is one where I'm like, man, this to me is like something you throw. I literally was like, it's cheap enough. Do I get this and just leave it on my ZR for whenever I just want to take it out to shoot? Because I don't know. So I was thinking about you. You do a lot of street photography too. What's your this to me, 26mm 2.8 feels like such a fun walk around lens. I think my favorite is 35 to 40, something like that. But you can get really great soft out of focus. I
mean, this would be a lens I'd 100% rent for the weekend. Take it out, burn it for 2 days, and see the photos, see how I like it. And then if go back down. What is that price point?
I was going to say, I don't think you're renting this.
It's at the bottom.
I'll hop over here. Here.
At the bottom. It's almost there. Oh.
Well, I got you right here in bold.
It's cheaper on the other website. I'll go on Petapixels.
Really?
Petapixel, I think, announced it. I think it was right. Oh, $299. Okay. $299. I thought they said $269. But for
either way,
man,
for $300.
Well, my point is, all right, buy it for $300. See how you like it for the weekend. If you don't like it, return it back to B&H or Amazon and call it a day. Yeah. But that's a solid, because I have go off screen right here.
Yeah, that's what I will constantly.
I have the little 50,
nifty 50. Yep. The
and
F1.8.
Yeah, 1.8. And again, for me, it's a great, because it's so small. I feel less obtrusive as a street photographer with it, and
it's super light too. I gotta find where they
go. My body's too big. I'm in a big Canon body, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Let me see here. So let's switch to this. So where's our 4.6 ounces?
Amazing.
Nothing. 130 grams for this thing. So this just felt like a fun throw it on, walk around. It's an autofocus lens. So if you rely on autofocus, you've got that. You've got all the newer autofocus.
Wow.
It was a fun little lens. I mean, this thing is tiny. This was my favorite picture from Viltrox's site that compares this to an Oreo cookie. So here you go. That's the lens, and that's an Oreo.
Yeah, awesome. Amazing.
Great little walk around lens. I don't know. What do you think?
I would unfortunately probably have already bought that.
Yeah. Well, it came out today, so you could put your pre-order in right now. Yeah.
If I had a Sony, I'd probably would have pre-ordered that and then been like, surprise, hun. Look what I bought.
But here's my thought. I'm not encouraging that. But if you showed her the Tamron first and you were like, I almost bought this. It's a killer lens. It's $1,700, but I bought this one for $300. It eases the pain a little bit,
So if you're a wife of a filmmaker, or just you're a wife in general, please exit this video, because I'm going to tell Colden a hack I saw for wives to get away with anything, which was, but for filmmakers, this is a hack to tell your wife to get anything, which is essentially that. But it was this meme I saw, which was, girls, tell your husband you saw a vacation package for $5,000. And then the next day say, hey, it's on 50% discount today. It's only $2,500. And he'll rush to get it for you. So same thing, filmmakers. Say, hey, this lens, hun, it's $5,000. Oh, I really want it. 2 days later, tell her that it's on sale for $2,500. You got to get it. It's a steal.
And then it's an easy sign up. Have you seen the meme that's like the wife receipt?
Girl math against her.
Have you seen the spouse receipt meme?
No.
Oh, that's so fun. Well, I'll have to find it. If it like, it's so fun. It's like basically some guy goes to a store, buys a really expensive thing. He's like, I can't tell my wife that I can't get this. And he's like, you want a spouse receipt? And he's like, well, what's the spouse receipt? Like, well, we basically take the price and knock it down. Well, how much do you knock it down by? Like 80%. And so it's this like $2,500 mountain bike, and they give him a spouse receipt for $300. And he's like, see, it's fine. So you need a spouse receipt for some of this stuff. If B&H figured out,
definitely have a spouse receipt.
100%.
Just the same 100%. Way Target should probably have one also.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That would, then it would balance it out. Yeah, exactly. So here's
credit card companies.
Here, I told you the Pancake lens at 26mm lens. I was like, Jake, I'm doing your shopping for you, I think is basically what's
I know
happening.
You're causing problems all over the place. Also, you hit me with all of this. This was all dropped today.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. I'm prepping for the show, and then Colden this morning is like, hey, 6 new segments. Everything just dropped. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. Thursday clearly, or Wednesday clearly is the drop day on these things.
Well, I know like body wise, like we don't have a whole lot of news to get into. So it's interesting to see some of these new lenses. The wide Tamron, I've been following alpha rumors, and like they've been talking about it coming out. So I was excited to see that one. This one I just saw jump on my Instagram last night, and I wanted your thoughts here because I know you're the Hollyland guy. They're teasing this. Jake, walk me. What is this?
I don't know. But that's their lowest grade microphone, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
That's you're setting me up. I gotta go in the
because
back.
Here's some, you do, but like they've got Hollyland with a question mark. I'm not in the Hollyland. I reviewed their webcam and I freaking loved it. Like I do really like their stuff. I may consider them depending on the DJI drama and how that goes forward for us in the States. I may look at them as the next mic set that I get, because you've sold me on this. But what is this even?
Because I recognize that mic that comes with the Lyra, their webcam. So if you upgrade their like you come with that, and I'm trying to find if I think it's their Lark C1. Maybe not.
Yeah, the comments were like guessing that it might be a new Lark. My question is like, is there any AI feature or like
probably it's an auto? Would be my guess. Let's bingo card again.
Yeah,
we're gonna bingo card.
Well, you're my Hollyland guy.
I mean, or I'm more just thinking from an audio standpoint. Like, what would be the like brain aspect of a microphone? Would be auto correcting for gain. So it would auto normalize gain within the microphone pre-recording. Yep. So there would, in my opinion, there would be a small latency within the microphone that is then automatic leveling with AI enhancement. And that's exactly there would be some AI enhancement in terms of like, all of us have noise reduction and echo reduction in post-production and are doing that. So they'll be doing that baked into the audio, I'm assuming, with some automatic leveling. That would be my 2 predictions in terms of it's exactly that.
So, and that makes sense to me. Like, I liked that comment with the leveling. My question, I guess, is don't you on the higher end, you have 32-bit float and internal memory on these, right? So auto leveling could kind of help you compress that signal a little bit. But if you had 32-bit float and you're not worried about clipping it.
But I look at this mic design.
This might be the cheaper one or the lower
This
end.
is kind of like, hey, we're not going to give you 32-bit float. We're going to do 16-bit float, right? 16.
I mean, I think it's 24-bit for audio. But
I always get these mixed up because I don't live in this space as I used to. But I think it'll be basically the noise reduction, echo reduction, and auto leveling flavoring within the microphone. So because they're really going for the prosumer, YouTuber, TikToker market in their microphones. And so I think it'll be like, hey, you can record outside easier and it's totally fine. You could do man on the street stuff easier. You could vlog easier. and you can do less post-production work in theory.
That totally makes sense to me as you're explaining it. Every couple of weeks you were going through something and you're like, I just figured this out in my head just by talking it through. Literally just talking this through with you and I. Like, I do think when I was on Todd's show, we were talking about the Luna Ultra and some benefits of like these pocket cameras. One of the things we were talking about was being able to go from shoot to phone to post without having to drag it into your Final Cut or Premiere or DaVinci Resolve, edit it, put all these effects on it, really, spend the time to cut it. And literally you can just go from camera to phone to post. And it does make sense, as much as I'm a 32-bit float audio fan, because I'm going to bring that in later on. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to sweeten it. I'm going to compress it, whatever.
Yeah.
Being able to plug that, because a lot of these Hollylands will go straight into my phone too, right? So if I'm the creator that's just vlogging with my iPhone, here's a great spot where I wouldn't need 32-bit float and an expertise level in Premiere or Final Cut to make this happen. You could just let the brain do it for you, which is kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing where we're at. Like, you and I are such at the intersection of content creators and almost pro filmmakers. Well, we're professional working in the industry in the sense of, social media content and content creation and media, but, where we're not making the Odyssey yet. We're getting there. Yeah. But, and I think we constantly are looking at things, what's going to level up our gear, and forgetting where we used to be. And like, oh, dude, if we just had this. And again, that was like us a decade ago. And I think that was my argument with the gimbal. And like, that was our discussion last week constantly was like, yes, but remember us a decade ago. And there were not nearly any of these tools. And now it's 100 times more competitive than it ever used to be. And so how can, these companies make it easier for young creators, for up and coming people like, I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, the #1 job that's like surveyed by like the youth in terms of like what they want to be when they grow up, it's like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a this. It's a YouTuber or an influencer. Yeah. And so, these tools were like, yeah, the microphone has auto this, you can throw it into a CapCut, make a couple trims, but you don't have to do any audio. Like, you don't even have to click CapCut's noise reduction, this auto gain, normalize. Like, you can just, it sounds great as is out of the box. It's a wild world we're living in, and a lot of technical things are being lost. But that's the change of technology and the growth of gear.
Well, I think even as you're saying, like, to think back of where we might have been as creators 10 years ago. Yeah. Even you've said it, even our job as filmmakers has now become, you have a job to shoot for the client or for the film, but you also have to market yourself behind the scenes. You've talked about this, like, what's my behind the scenes camera, because your marketing job has changed. Maybe it hasn't gotten more difficult, but it's like, now you have to document yourself working to kind of play on social media. And I'm sure you feel this. I'm doing enough editing for client work and for professional work. Kind of the last thing I want to do is bring my social media content into the same editing funnel and be stuck hours and hours editing too. So even if it's, maybe this is for us too, just in that, how you had said a couple episodes ago, my nice mics, that'll be for the talent, for my client. And then I could just get these mics for my behind the scenes stuff. So I'm just thinking out loud while we're, talking this through. Maybe that's another avenue for what this could be.
Well, and I think that's exactly what it's just, how can we make this easier for the user? Yeah. And it's like, what are more things that the user could use and make just that is that extra selling point to go with us versus DJI versus Insta360 versus.
Yeah.
So
I mean, anything that makes the pipeline easier from shoot to done to me, especially with some of this behind the scenes stuff, is
and because this content, I jokingly tell all my clients and people I talk to about it. I jokingly call it disposable content because it's not a Mission Impossible movie. It's not, we're going to be talking about Digger and Dune, which are like, they're making these movies that hopefully will stand the test of time, that people will want to watch in 100 years. I mean, we look back at one of the jokes in the filmmaking space is looking back at Mummy, the Scorpion King, and how bad those VFX are, right? Yeah. As you instantly know, you say the Mummy, you're like, oh yes, I know those VFX. Like, they don't stand the test of time compared to, you look at the original Star Wars and it stands the test of time. You look at some of the original Pirates of the Caribbean, Lord of the Rings, and you go, what is practical? What is CGI? Like the Davy Jones CGI is unreal. A decade, I think I just saw something that was like 20 years later that movie got released. And it still stands the test of time, even as the technology has gotten better. But this content is not that. The TikTok you make will not go down in history, will not be talked about in the future. And so it's like, great, how can we get it done easier, faster, but at high quality as possible?
Yeah.
Rant over.
I like it. No, that's good. We talked about the Pirates of the Caribbean and special effects from 10 years ago and what stands the test of time.
Yeah.
In terms of this creator gear, here's the next news story we have to talk about, which is wild to me that this time last week, we didn't even have this to talk about. So even though we were going back and forth offline going, it's kind of a slow news week for us for camera stuff. Up
until this morning.
No, but we didn't even talk about this FCC stuff. I know I made this video about it, but I don't think we even mentioned it on the live show last week, right?
The Insta360 X6?
The DJI. No. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you were even caught up or if you saw my video, but I was talking to Todd on his show about this.
I saw your video
on Friday.
I saw your thumbnail, but I thought it was about the Insta360.
No, so on Friday, the FCC fined Extra Technologies and 7 other companies $25,000 for refusing to communicate with the FCC and participate in an inquiry that the FCC was doing, basically saying the FCC was asking Extra, hey, we think you're using DJI technology that's already on our banned list. You can't do that. Can you explain to us where your technology is coming from and what you're using? And so that was on Friday afternoon. So I stayed up all weekend making this video and trying to research this video on what was going on. So have you heard of this, or were you caught up on that?
I think you mentioned it to me offline. Yeah, about this. That wild.
Yeah. So they have until the July 20th to respond to the FCC before the FCC moves forward with any additional steps. So if they can't prove anything, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the whole Extra line. That was one whole news cycle that was crazy in the DJI world. There was another DJI controversy that we kind of briefly got to talk about before the show. And I want your thoughts on this, because I saw this. I can tell you where my head went, but I saw this pop up on my Reddit 2 days ago. Maybe it was this kind of, somebody on Reddit said, hey, there's this ad that DJI is putting out all over TikTok that's totally AI generated. And we've talked about the pros and the cons of AI use in creative spaces. And I start scrolling. One, I get kind of mad because I'm like, you're a creator base, you're selling
rage baity. Okay.
Well, it's
in the sense
valid
of
rage.
You're like, what the heck?
if you're
DJI should
selling
not be doing that.
products to creators,
Yeah.
and you're not even using those creators to talk about and sell your brand, that's a problem to me. Like
it's
all you
worse
have to
than
do is
underpaying
give
creators.
that creator that your $60 microphone, and somebody would love to talk about it for a $60
Anybody.
microphone.
Yes.
I don't know if I would want to talk about it for a 60. You got to
That's my
pay me
point.
a little bit more money.
It's worse. Using an AI generated image is arguably even worse than like not paying and underpaying creators to make ads for you, where then you're going to make thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. Like,
right.
It's even worse. And
yeah. And so it's funny, like the top comment right now is, how hard is it for companies to get some influencers to just read a script? And well, it's harder than getting AI to do it. So this article was filled with the typical, as you would expect, AI hate dumping on DJI. And I had seen this. I went, oh, maybe I should flag this. Jake and I can talk about it. Maybe I can make a YouTube or a Instagram, a little short reel kind of going, hey, what's going on with this? This is crazy. And I was trying to dig around for the video. I was like going to TikTok. I was scrolling through my TikTok because it's right in line with where I should get this ad, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't find that. What I could find, though, is Jacob Owens, which you know Jacob Owens.
Yeah.
YouTuber. He's on social
Successful
media.
Filmmaker.
Exactly. So I saw
but also owns his own lens company, filter company.
Filter. Right.
Yeah.
So I saw his reaction to it. Here's his reaction. Maybe here's his reaction. The loading of his reaction. Oh, it's not playing. Jake, what happened? It's not playing.
Oh, here, let's switch out.
Try it over here. Oh, of course. We do this when we. All right, so we don't have his reaction. I can try and re-pull it in.
But we'll go here. I'll riff for a second. Oh,
well,
wait a minute.
Yeah. No, see, it's just going to do this spinning thing. So I'll try and reload it in really quick. And but basically, let me see if I can talk through this while I'm reloading this in. Here we go. Let's see
really closely.
Here we go.
At the bottom of the screen there. This ad from DJI to promote their new mic is completely AI generated using an AI avatar. Not a real person, not a real creator, not a real filmmaker, photographer, content creator, you name it, but an AI generated content creator to promote a product that real people, real content creators need to actually record themselves. This is a product that DJI needs real people to buy and use to make content, but they're using an AI generated influencer to promote said product. In a time where there's so many creatives that are hurting for money and cash, this $11 billion company couldn't bother to pay an influencer or a creator, a real person, but instead chose to generate one to talk about their new mic. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Okay. So I know he's been actively against AI. I know that's a very normal stance for him to take. But here was my issue and my question on this.
Well, before you say that.
Okay, go.
I know, because I'm going to tee you up on how dramatic even this question means.
Okay.
How many views do you think his video got?
At this point, I don't know, because I pulled it last night.
So it was posted. I guess got to reload. It was posted 23 hours ago. Right. And it already has 287,000 views just on Instagram.
And here's the other thing that I just found frustrating, I guess, about this. All the comments with the same AI rage, assuming that he's reporting factually. And I sent him a DM just to be like, dude, you probably know something I don't know. Where's the video? Because I commented on this Reddit thread. Where's the actual video? Where's the screen recording? Then today on Reddit, there was another subreddit of Jacob's video that was like, hey, look at this, basically re-reporting this thing. Commented on that. Have you seen the video? Because all he's doing is using this screenshot and reporting that this is accurate. I could not find, and anybody that is watching this or watching this segment, help me out here, but he literally just pulled this image and talked over this image, right? This is like on his video, on this video, it's the exact same thing. And I got questions because here's what I did. I said, if I can't find the video that actually this is coming from, I can't know that this guy on Reddit didn't just rage bait everybody on Reddit to hate on AI and make this himself. Because I was starting to look at this, Jake, and you tell me, like, your DJI, the marketing company, worth whatever, 1.7 billion, whatever Jacob reported.
I think it was 11. Talk about 11
billion. You can't get the AI then to like reproduce your branding correctly. That kind of seems like a weird thing. And then I started looking at this. This is why I never made this video, because like I don't see a lot of ads on TikTok, but there's like clearly differences in this
text.
The
kerning is completely off.
Totally different text. And then over here, I started looking at, okay, well, like even on the overlay, there's like pixelization on like some of this that just is off on the two. There's pixelization over here. Like it's not hard to me to fake this. I'm not saying it's fake. I don't know. I could not find this actual video that Jacob's reporting as though it is fact. And I just, how responsible, what's our stance on this? What's your stance on this in terms of like, if you're going to report on something, do you need to like kind of fact check it? Is it more just views?
I mean, it is a, and I think that's where that is the moral question. That is the journalistic question that is arguably the most important question in our modern era, is because stuff like this, that's perfect rage bait. Like if, again, to go back to
Burlap, I'm glad you're here, man. I need you to rewind just a little bit so you can see my rant on this. We're talking about this AI DJI ad that Jacob Owens was ranting about. And I got questions about it. And what were you saying, Jake? You've got something?
Well, I wanting to, so his personal page, he doesn't show, I don't know why it's not. Here, I just want to pull this up, just more from a standpoint of like, again, you're talking about journalistic integrity, right? Do the research before. Now that's being a journalist. Now he's a filmmaker and an entrepreneur. So he fits both boxes, right? He talks about constantly other film companies, good practices and bad practices in his in his content. But if you look here, like all of his his views, most of it is sub 10,000. Yeah. This video in 24 hours is close to 300,000. Right. So of course it's going to help him, right? It's rage baity. It's this. So could he have done some extra searching? Yeah, maybe. Would I have done some extra searching? Probably not. Like you had a mindset to like look at that extra step and to like go, does this actually make sense? And I think it's a personality thing. I follow Jacob Owens. I think what he's doing for the culture of filmmaking and online and like mixing between content creation, filmmaking, and like who we strive to be like is somebody like Jacob Owens, in the sense of I think what he's doing in general is great. But it's a weird mix, because I also know content creators who will do this to just build the rage because they make their money off of views. Yeah. And so they don't care as long as they get the views, they did their job. And it's an inch. I don't know. So I don't know.
I don't consider myself to be a journalist, but
Of
at
course.
some point, I feel like there's at least a little bit of an obligation or a responsibility to like do some research before you put out in the world, hey, look at this bad thing. Let's all gang up on this thing. It was funny. Jake, we didn't even get to talk about this, but this bleeds into this conversation, this comment that I had dropped on my video that I spend a whole bunch of time researching this FCC video. This guy comes and comments and says, it's very obvious that Extra is DJI. Looking for conclusive evidence when you have eyes is stupid. I was like, I kind of disagree with that, because I feel like if I'm going to take the time to put out a video, I want to at least I could get things wrong, but like, don't look for any evidence, just put it out there. And so then I said, no, I disagree. I think you got to look for evidence if you're going to do a report. And he goes, well, your way of thinking is naive and stupid. If you're going to solve a murder, like goes into this whole diatribe, how a 10-year-old could have just assumed that it was DJI and that's good enough. And
that's
blurred it out, because I don't think idiots deserve screen time. But
that's my point, is right there is a lot of the thought process of society. And, and again, not political, but that's the whole like, oh, fake news or this or that. Like these people are lying, or that people are lying, this or that. Like, and is there a lot of lies going on? 100%. On every facet, on every side, and marketing and belief. Like, most of the campaigns that we know, like got milk, and that milk is actually really good for you. Well, it's marketing.
Right.
I was talking about it with my wife literally just a couple of days ago. Did you know the 10,000 steps rule, right? You know how like we need to get 10,000 steps a day?
Sure.
That was a marketing program. That was a marketing campaign from a Japanese company.
Oh, I thought it was Fitbit.
100 years ago.
Wow.
A Japanese shoe company 100 years ago came up with that because it looked very good. Like in their Japanese symbol for steps looks like a man walking. And they liked how it looked visually.
That's amazing.
So
I learned something new today.
Like health standards, right? It started off as a marketing campaign. And I only say this from the standpoint of like, it's harder and harder who to trust these days, and it really, and it takes the willingness to do the extra research, which I don't think a lot of people are willing to do.
Yeah.
So,
well, it was an interesting, kind of dramatic story over the last couple. And look, like I could see it going either way. It's hard because as it sits right now, like Jacob, you should have kept your mouth shut or verified this, because if you don't know what you're doing or what you're talking about, great, you got views and you were wrong. I maybe that's my ego, is like, I don't want to have to be wrong. I'm probably wrong lots. I'm definitely wrong lots, but I'm also going to put enough research in to try not to be wrong.
Yeah. And I look at it, it's like, yes, it's $1 billion company and okay, who cares? But like, he would care a lot more if this was coming after him. Mm-hmm. If somebody made a fake AI post, he would be furious. If somebody was rage baiting his own company, which he talks about it, because he does it on the flip side. There was another company, not to belabor this point by any means, but there was another company that, because he did this. I'll try to get to it relatively quickly while also talking.
Yeah, I put you on the spot on this one a little bit.
It's just interesting because he's made content where other client, like about how companies don't care and how people are copying him, etc.
Oh, I've seen those videos of his kind of whining that he's getting copied and knocked off, and I get that, but I like also
this right here. Basically that this company walking away, dual linear prism effects, and he's basically whining. I mean, look, but it also makes sense. It's like, I don't know if this name is copyrighted. I don't know what he has trademarked. But again, he's making videos where this video itself does have 64,000 likes.
Right.
The video that he's responding to. So this, which makes sense. It's like, and he's like, okay. Oh, so right here, update, reach out and apologize, said they would cease to use the name immediately starting, dear Jacob, Bill, just beyond your fantastic, love to know how you nurture. And, and so they've just changed the name of it, but, and that was because of a video. Will this, enough stink come out? Like, it'd be interesting to look at, just because we're playing devil's advocate right now.
Yeah.
Is to, if you want to open up Reddit and go to that person's page and see what else they like, that's my instinct. Like in my journalistic, like you're like, oh, let me zoom into the image and let me look at this and let me look at that. I go, let me see who who posted this and let me look about them. Are they a rage baiter?
Yeah.
Are they like, what do they typically post? And because they didn't post anything, or did they put any title with it, or just like DJI?
They just said, I've got the original. So look, this was the original. Here we go. So this was the original post that I saw. This is so it could be hundreds of, this could be like Kane Parsons in the back rooms. This could be thousands upon thousands of rooms. But this is, hey, look at this. DJI was serious. It was fully AI generated. Here's my complaint again on this though. There's enough to complain about AI actually stealing and being used poorly that I don't think it helps if you're not being truthful on that this was actually an ad. Because could DJI comment on it? Not if they didn't do the ad. And that's where just like, anybody who wants to send me a screen recording of this ad, I will clearly and happily eat my words. My question was, when I saw this and I went, oh, that sucks. Why would DJI do that? Wait a second. Did DJI do that? Google the video. UGC ad for DJI. Nothing shows up. Go scroll through TikTok. Look at DJI official, because the video set, or the post that they said has it coming from DJI. It has it from their official account. It has it from DJI official. So go to their page and go see if it's on there. It's not. Go look at their tags. It's not on there. That's just where like I'm happy to complain about AI stealing people's work and people's art. And, you and I have both talked about Suno ripping musicians off.
Yep.
Plenty to complain about.
But
if this isn't real
content.
What'd you say?
Like, it also looks like absolutely zero of their content.
Right.
Like,
that's why I was like, I'm not going to touch this because I don't think it's accurate.
None of their DJI official stuff is anybody doing any talking head. Like, I'm looking through their TikTok right now. Nobody's doing talking head.
Right.
So
that's just where I'm like, man, I sure wish that like we could fact check this a little bit more before you go out and spread more. We can all hate on AI, like that's fine.
100%.
But if you're using AI to create a fake ad to get rage attention, and then Jacob Owens, you're not even fact checking it. I don't know. That's where I was like, oh, okay, well, at least somebody's going to report on this fake picture and didn't think. Did you want to cover this? Because I saw this too. Did we do the same thing and click it at the same time? George Lucas. Did you see this quote by George Lucas? Okay, I will pull it up because that's a great comment and thought. Basically, George Lucas is just saying that like it's the same as CGI, and it's the future of filmmaking. It's making things easier to create, and there's some value in that. But there you go. Yeah, you found it.
There's nothing you can do about it because fans too much power. All right, let's look down this Variety article if it doesn't get mad at us. Oh, the audience doesn't know what they want to see. Okay, that's where the fans, which I don't disagree, but it's also knowing it's knowing where they applaud, knowing where they cry, knowing like that's the response that because I agree with that. It's not like, okay, well, what do you think the character should do?
Right.
Don't ask that. That's not their job. That's your job as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
But you can go, great, watch the recording of them. Did they laugh at the joke? Or great, I wrote a joke here. There's supposed to be a laugh here. Is there? Like, fun fact, I'm just going to go on a quick rant for a second.
Go, yeah.
In Hamilton, right, where they go, immigrants, we get the job done. Lin-Manuel Miranda had to put in an extra couple beats because everyone went, whoa! And he was like, and that's where he put the, and then they continued the song because the audience went berserk over that line every single night.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's not like, oh, do you want extra? Like, oh, let me put in the line about immigrants. It's the fans respond to that moment. Great. We need to put an extra beat there because there's bigger laughs. Or, hey, there is no laugh there. We need to fix the edit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either why is the joke not landing? Great. Because I see it on the flip side. Like I know a lot of filmmakers that are hardcore about testing. I just read about Monty Python and the Holy Grail. 17, or no, it was like 13 or 17 test screenings. And in the book, in the retrospective, they're talking about like, we are so like thankful for it because it didn't work until we just kept testing it, kept trusting it, trying it new. And then it's now absolute legend of a film.
Yeah.
So
testing it is great. It makes sense. In terms
I want to see this AI lines though. But sorry,
I think I've got that. I was just going to go back here just for a second and kind of that. I agree. If you look at just to kind of re-break this down, if you're just joining us and where my frustration kind of laid on this, it looks like it was on TikTok. I just grabbed the picture. It shows
that is TikTok.
Yeah. But here, these were like, Jay, this is what we were talking about is like, look at these overlays. Look at how this text is so much different than this AI generated label that was put in. This is clearly like put in after the fact. It's just a different kerning of text. And then if you can see it in here, because I don't know how much, YouTube compresses it. It's hard for me to see. But even in here, if you guys can see that, there's like weird pixels like it was pasted in. So I like, these are the things where I was just like, when I saw this, I thought, I'm not going to report on this because I dislike AI being used to steal creative works. I dislike AI being used. Like we talked about on the show, the minute somebody has a really terrible, basically like a UGC ad with AI actors, I'm like, I'm out. I'm not buying from that company anymore. It just is so off-putting to me. If you want to use AI in like a tasteful way in your human-made commercial, I probably won't even notice it. This is like wildly noticeable. They don't even have like, this does not even say DJI. So that's all of my like, and it's so that's the only frame too. If you go and look at Jacob's,
and that's video, and that's what George Lucas talks about really well. I just scanned through the article.
Yeah,
is there's kind of two main paragraphs. This first paragraph here, artificial intelligence means it's much easier for us to make movies. It's very much like sitting here saying, well, I believe the horse and buggy is really where it's at. These cars, they break down, they need gas. There's all kinds of problems with them. And pretty soon they'll be making them into tanks and then they'll be killing people. It's terrible. There's nothing you can do about it. That's progress. That's the future. And so he's just calling a spade for a spade. It is what it is. Horse and buggy, sure. But, and then, which is the point that you were just making. And I think he says it really well here. If you want AI that tells you when something is fake and where it came from, AI can do that. Humans can't. We're not that smart. The whole idea is you're a human being. You're responsible for what you say and what you do. And if you're doing something that's illegal, you should be punished for that. Whatever you do, you should be recognized. It's just like real life. And that's, in my way I interpret what he says, is exactly kind of what we're talking about. It's like, look, if the AI models, if these things are literally taking what other people have done and they've not given their permission to train the AI models, that is illegal. There's copyright infringement. It is. You have not given you permission to, that's why, as annoying as it is, university teachers say you have to buy my textbook. It's copyrighted. It's not, here's it for free. It's, I wrote this. This is capitalism. You have to buy this. And so it's, that's
That's the AI rant on that one. Did he create this? Just the question is, though, did it originally come from him? Because we can, jump back here for a second. I don't
be that type of dude.
Right.
Also, and he looks like he used this screenshot.
Right. That's where we were covering this, is that if you look at, this is what I saw randomly on Reddit 2 days ago. And then a day and a half ago,
really closely at the bottom of the screen there, this ad from DJI.
And all he's using, and this was where we were kind of breaking this down. He's not using the video. He didn't find the video. He's just using the same screenshot that I found on Reddit and talking over it, which is, anybody gets to do that. I get it. But I don't think he created that. I just think he probably got the same notification, because like my Reddit knows exactly all of my news stories, and it's pretty solid on like, hey, you might be interested in this. And I got this pop-up that said DJI just created a totally fake AI ad. And I went, what? I'm sure he got the same notification, or he's got the same scrubbers that are looking through stuff too, that are like blowing up. That's what I think. I think that he saw the same thing and then wanted to go talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting world we're living in right now.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of things that are not AI,
right?
Did you see that both Dune 3 and Digger have dropped their trailers?
I saw I was telling you, I saw Digger and I was very confused by what it was. I think I saw the trailer. I saw, it's an old Tom Cruise. It's like, what was he in? Was it Pineapple Express, where he had all the not Pineapple Express, Tropic Thunder, where he had all the prosthetics. Yeah. So he's reprising his old man role.
So not that we're a review trailer review or whatever like that, but what I wanted to just pop these two trailers in and discuss was, because the only thing that we can really take, we can't really get the stories, we can't really get the directorial choice. Like all we can get really is kind of the visual styles of these two movies. And what I think is that they're both unbelievably cinematic and unbelievably, you could just tell that they're some of the best cinematography that we've seen, but in two very different styles.
You know what? I saw this, and to tie back into our AI conversation, just because I should have saved this clip, but I just noticed it here, and it made, like, we can kind of tie this back into our AI complaint, is that some director was talking about how all of art is inherently a human piece. There's humanity to it. So when you see new trailers, it's never from the CGI machines, from the computers that made Toy Story. It's always from the people that made this. And I just noticed that in here as well, you've got, from the director of, it's always a person. It's not like we used Seed Dance 4.5 for this. It's always from the people that brought you.
From the studio. The closest is that you get is the studio. Well, what is the studio made out of?
Yeah.
A group of people.
Exactly.
So this is, shot by the legendary Emmanuel Lubitsky, who's worked with, Inarritu on the last several of his projects, and, going from Children of Men, Gravity, Revenant, like absolute legendary of a DP. Tree of Life, some of the most gorgeous looking films ever made. And definitely Inarritu was a big fan of the wide angle lenses. And so, but I find it so fascinating. What I found so fascinating about it in particular was the coloring choices.
Yep. I was going to comment on that to you as well. And I appreciate Burlap and Light Productions that I saw this, and I was telling Jake, I saw this trailer on mute, and I was like, I have no idea what this looks so strange other than old Tom Cruise and prosthetics. So I have to go back and watch this. Now you're showing this to me on mute. I need to actually go back and watch what this is about, because I could not tell you. But there is a trend in modern cinematography. I'm sure you've seen it, Jake. I'm sure you guys have seen it too, is like the graying of American cinematography, where like you go back and look at films from the 90s or early 2000s and it's so saturated and colorful. And then you go look at the new Harry Potter versus, that was a good side-by-side. Look at Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone versus the new Harry Potter on HBO. And you can just see the color palette go down to like they shot it and kept it in log.
But I feel this is more Wes in the sense of Wes Anderson, of like, this is not, we just did that. Like, this is very overtly chosen to be this muted, pastel-y, like, and that's why I say Wes Anderson, is because, again, it's very overt. It's very, there's a lot of causative choices behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And so
no, it looks intentional, but just this, like, none of this looks Wes Anderson to me. Because you pull up,
of course,
Life
not
Aquatic,
actually
and
Wes
it's
Anderson.
Like, you look at just color scopes and it's wildly different, but intentional here for sure. I just see this is not the only film that has become kind of grayed out over the years. That's just, it's an interesting trend of cinematography that the colors are a lot more muted.
Hence why bringing this up. And so compared to Dune, the new Dune 3 trailer, which there is a bit of that, but then you get these, amazing colors. It's this is shot by Linus Sandgren, who took over from Greg Fraser, who did the first two. And Linus has shot First Man, La La Land, No Time to Die, Saltburn. So most recently, Wuthering Heights. So in his own right, a very accomplished DP.
Right.
And but it was very interesting seeing, I think it was a clip from Denis saying about how Lawrence of Arabia, he was just talking about the epicness and the longevity of Lawrence of Arabia. And then you see, and then that the article posted some clips from the trailer and clips of Lawrence next to each other. And you went, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you still get it. There's still those handful of muted tones in here, but with
it looks exactly like the same I was talking about. But
with the occasional brighter pops of color.
Every film's going to do that, but like here's kind of what I was talking about. I was able to find this study. If you look at the difference, we'll jump back into this in just half a second. Here's what I'm talking about, though.
Oh, 100%.
Here's the original Harry Potter. Just, we weren't afraid to color an image before. It's just an interesting shift because this looks like on the right side, this is Digger, this is Dune, this is every modern cinematography release. This is 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
When we were not afraid to, push a little bit more saturation into the colors, because here's Dune. Look at the skin tones on this. Even when you're saying there's pops of color, it's just a different choice and it's a different palette. Not that it's not intentional and beautiful. Maybe more, I'd say Lawrence of Arabia, but even Lawrence of Arabia was these big wide sets, lots of color. So interesting.
Yeah, and there was a article that I saw or some. who knows where I get this content from nowadays, but of why this is because there's an entire generation of, of crews that are coming up only on digital.
Right.
And
that literally, you covered it. I was
for film.
I was going to ask you if we think that it has to do with lighting and set decking, and not only that, you have so much more CGI and digital reproduction in all of these, where you didn't have that before. It was all, Jake, we talked about it offline. Like, it was all set decoration and
miniature,
how you worked with different departments to create this big, colorful, larger than life story. These all seem more muted and maybe more digital, like you were saying. Maybe it is because more people are learning, training, shooting daily on a digital platform, that you're just not doing quite the same coloring. Or maybe it's just a taste shift that's happened over the last couple of years. I don't know. I like those Wes Anderson style, hyper saturated, larger than life. I think it's interesting choices. You always can look at, I feel like, a little bit of like what Kane Parsons says about, he likes looking for those little details in scenes. That's what's so human about it.
Yeah.
So,
but that's why I think I like even though it's not my coloring palette, the Digger palette, to me, it felt hyper stylized.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, like the Harry Potter comparison where it was just dark and like, okay, like it felt overtly like a choice.
Yeah.
Rather than like, oh, that's just kind of how we're going to do it. Like, where you see my set, I'm very much into bright colors and deep saturation and deep contrast. And so, yes, I'm very much the opposite of that look personally, but I really admired that it felt very stylized. Like, and that's why I say like Wes Anderson, in the sense of like, you see a Wes Anderson film and it's a Wes Anderson film. And you go, yeah. Right. And, if you look at a, Alejandro Iñárritu film, it's wide angle lenses. And I think, but yeah, that's,
I think a wide angle sells it as hyper stylized too. But I agree with this. I was saying it feels like you're just shooting it in log. How many hundreds of people are on a crew, like a film crew? They're doing these things intentionally. I almost feel, and I don't know enough in the psychology of things, but you think about like where the film industry was, where technology was, where like socially we were in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. You were going to the movies for this over the top, hyper saturated, even dark films, even, horrors, even dark, topics of films were colorful. Versus now, I don't know if it's because everybody's so hyper stimulated on the phones or what, like we could speculate for 1,000 years, but it's an interesting shift. You can go and look and see how this has changed over 2 decades. Just in the Harry Potter comparison, you can see it. You can look at.
But just on the Harry Potter thing, what I thought was very interesting, what the original series did, which I really admired, was that the coloring shifted throughout the eight movies. Because again, the storyline itself got darker. That Harry became more jaded and more of a darker soul. And so I thought that was a very cool how they took that arc over the 8 movies originally.
I'd have to go back through and see, because it's an interesting study too, just taking Harry Potter for a second. They spanned this generation from saturation to muted color tones and more of this kind of, for better or worse, log profile, flatter tones. Like they really were shooting these movies as this was going through.
So like here's just because I think they did it the best. This is the first movie, and like where yes, it got darker, but it was like overtly darker because of the stories.
Yeah.
And that was what was kind of really cool about this. It was not because of the time and the era or the this or the that. It was a very conscious choice, but it was cool because I think it was 4 different directors that helmed across the 8 movies.
Mhm.
And you could tell it was the studio, it was the executive producers who really helped continue this over the 15 years that these movies were made or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's those kind of conscious choices are really special, really interesting to me that you've thought that through to that level of detail. But all right, we've got we're pushing our AI. We want to talk about we've certainly dug into. This is where the bot and bothered segment should have kind of fallen in. So we had some positives and we had
negatives.
We had some negatives. We need a little bit of the positives, where it's useful, what it's like. And we've talked about this, and I'm interested. You and I have very different like
use cases.
Optimism. Well, use cases and optimisms for it. I'm like, I literally thought about this the other day. I was like, Jake, if Claude was my employee, I would have fired it. It's so dumb sometimes. Like it's not taking over the planet. But you found some use cases. Do you want to tease one and we can open with it next week? Because I do think there are some tools.
Well, this is for the freelancers out there. This is for the freelancers out there. So my major philosophy about AI is I want it to do all the things I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to edit. I want to make movies. I want to shoot. I want to prep. I want to write. I want to be creative. So what are all the things that are not creative that I don't want to do?
Yeah.
One of the coolest ones, one of the things I hate the most, but it's also just like repeat, is outreach. I don't know a single freelancer who goes, you know what I love to do? I love to cold message people on LinkedIn. I just love it so much. It's just the best thing ever. I just wake up and I'm like my coffee and I get to do my LinkedIn outreach. Said no, freelancer ever.
Right.
And so I have figured out a way to automate all of my LinkedIn outreach. Yes, there are LinkedIn automation tools and everything like that. But what is very cool about it is that because it's Claude, it feels automatic. So there's a much less likelihood of LinkedIn getting picked up. It goes through variants. It's tracking everything all on the back end in a notes section. And I'm able to have it all do follow up on things that I've worked with it to write out, and where I can then go click run and then keep editing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't distract me from my day, or I'm like, great, run the LinkedIn outflow. I'm going to go to the gym. So I've been able to help maximize some of my outreach in terms of the business side of it by just doing that. So it's been kind of a cool little, way of me utilizing AI to increase the business side of it on the tasks that I don't like doing. And it's just made my life a lot easier in terms of that.
Well, we will have to dig into that next week. I'm trying to think. So we're a day early. So next show will be on the 23rd, because I have my pushback for you on that is the same way you said, whoever would want to do LinkedIn outreach. I'm on the side where whoever wants to receive a marketing cold email that is not personal. And so I
trained it for it is all personal.
So we'll argue that next week, and everybody that's still that's hanging out, come and give us your thoughts, and we'll have it out, Jake. We'll have a good argument of a pro and a con. In terms of, just to hit this really quick, we'll have to talk about this next week. So next week it's supposed to get announced on Wednesday, 1 week from today.
Okay, so we might push the next. We might do a double stream next week.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. So if I'm not wrong, 9 a.m. I think it's 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. East Coast time is the.
Why would they do that?
Because it's like 3 p.m. London time. It's all on London time. I don't know when Andre drops what it's supposed to. Dude, I don't know.
All right. We're gonna fight this one out. Tony, what the heck are you doing?
Dude, 9 a.m. is like. I'm sorry, you West Coast people. Dude.
I gotta wait.
Deal with it.
5:30 to do this live stream.
Well, we'll get the time locked in. You might be still sleeping or in your pajamas. In terms of the thoughts on this, I had said it last week. I am slightly more disappointed in my use case for this. I'm at the camp where it doesn't look good enough for me to want to spend $6,000. But Jake, one of the coolest things, I'm sure you
know more data about it.
No is a strong word. We talked about what my level of reporting is that I hold myself to. We know nothing. The rumors are, though, that it's going to have the same Venice and Burano 16-bit XOCN RAW formats, which we talked about RAW versus not, and I said, the difference between 16-bit and 10-bit is like a trillion colors. So I love on my ZR, I have 12-bit red RAW. In a V-Raptor, it's 16-bit. In a Burano and a Venice, it's their 16-bit Sony format. So this thing, if you are a Burano shooter or a Venice shooter, and you like Sony's XOCN RAW, or that is really important to you, this is an exciting camera. This is going to be a super cool camera. If you're looking at it to be a mini FX6 with internal NDs, which is what we were hoping we were going to get, or a higher resolution than 5K, which I was hoping we were going to get, I don't think we're going to get that. I think it's going to be 5K open gate. That's what Andre's been saying. That's what all of the new rumors are kind of pointing towards. 5K open gate, 3x2. So you're going to get open gate. You're going to get a 16-bit color depth, which is freaking amazing.
All of this is in theory. In theory.
It's nothing is locked in until we have the live stream.
We will put a potential FX5 live stream potentially on hold for next Wednesday.
I will put it in, guys. If you're watching this now, go put your thoughts in the chat on that live stream. I'll go build it. We'll have it. I'll figure out what time that the announcement's supposed to be, and we'll have this live stream. And Jake, if you can't wake up at 5:30, I'm not going to blame you.
I will
for
be
it.
there. I'll be there. I just might be wearing a PJ shirt.
Yeah, we'll get the coffee for you.
Just a different color black.
Perfect. So those were my thoughts on it. I'm excited for it, but I think it's going to be a lot more of a niche camera than I wanted it to be. I thought this was going to literally be my upgraded FX6, but not quite a Burano. And I was cool spending $7,500 on it. Now I think it's going to be cheaper than that, but I don't think it's going to have my built-in NDs, which you can get away from. But like that was going to be a big selling point for me. So what are you going to do? We'll see. Next week, we should know.
All right. Well,
the FX5 is my B cam.
You had one fun video that you wanted to end it with, though.
We what?
You don't need a new camera. You don't.
Oh, we can totally end on that video. Absolutely. While we're switching through here, that'll be an interesting one. We'll have to talk about that more next show. I know we're wrapping up here. Honestly, this feels like the FX5 is going to fit your Burano lineup almost better than the FX6, but it would be if the rumors are true, you're going to have a better codec in the FX5, a raw codec in the FX5 that the FX6 can't get. So it'll be they're trying to build this to be a mini Venice, mini Burano. That would be a cool lineup if you have that. More of a
B cam to that than a cam to or.
But I'd be interested. Put the stats next to it, and like, I don't know, the FX5, depending on what you are shooting, could very well be the A cam to your B cam FX6. We'll see next week. And you've got this that we were pulling up. Where was it? Shooting? Nope. Oh, that was a good one too, though.
Doesn't suck. I cannot wait to read the comments in this one. What if I told you that spots that I directed like this and this were shot with cameras with sensor technology that's over 15 years old? We are in the golden age of used cinema cameras right now. This shouldn't be a big reveal to most of you, but it is a massive marketing machine that is pushing out new cameras. And once you buy a new camera, it's never just a new camera. You gotta get a cage, and you gotta get media, and you gotta get blah, 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 and this and that. That adds up. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy a new camera. There's a lot of great new cameras. But for the same cost as a Sony FX3, you can get a used red DSMC2 package, like used package. And if you wanted to go the German route, you can get an Alexa Mini for like, I don't know, like 11 grand. That's insane.
So, Jake, this is what we were talking about a couple shows ago. Yeah, I mean, and I've seen it. We've talked about go buy used.
Oh, dude, what if I just pick up an Alexa Mini LF, baby? $4 grand.
Yeah, you can go look on. This is one where I'm like concerned on the resale value.
Cage, I think.
What'd you say?
I think that's the cage for $4 grand.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're not gonna get the Alexa Mini for $4 grand, unfortunately, but you can get it for 10.
Wild.
The reds. You go look on, especially you, Jake, if you're like in the LA area, the red packages are insane what you can get for cheap. And like you said, most of the movies that we're talking about,
I'll be somebody
shot on.
If you need me to go pick it up, I'll, you put down the money, I'll do the delivery. I take a 2% fee.
All right. Jake's got a new business model for anybody that's watching.
If you want the LA hookups, just hit me up, brother.
Yeah, well, I might hit you up on that one at some point. All right, man. Next week we'll get a tentative FX5 live stream going on, and then we'll be back at our normal time, 2:30 on Thursday for episode 16, which we will have to have an AI fight. I'll bring my AI boxing gloves to really argue it out with you, man.
I love it. I'm gonna win.
Yep. All right. You can. Yeah, we'll have our AIs fight.
Well, you know what? We'll let ChatGPT tell us who wins.
All right, perfect. All right, until next week, guys. We'll see you later. I'm Colden.
I'm Jake.
All right. See you next week, guys.